Theta, Anudita, and also the most venerable, the Auspiciador, venerable, and Dhammasami, and also the others, the venerables and nobles, and all the Upasaka and Upasika, and all Dhamma friends. So first of all, I really appreciate in this seminar. When I hear about this seminar from my master, I think about that the topic. The topic it does is really interesting. It's me reviving the Vinaya and regaining the faith. This is a good idea to sharing about the Vinaya in Dhamma. Because the Buddha, he deliberate the Buddha Dhamma 2,500 years ago. So some of the monks, some of the devotee, maybe we forgot sometime. Sometimes we neglect. Sometimes we remember, but we can't follow all the rules. Sometimes we put it behind our earth. It means behind the education, behind the business. So this time is that we remember again about the Dhamma and Vinaya. So I really appreciate about the topic. That's to be remind us to practice Dhamma and Vinaya. So today I will be sharing the academic perspective. So the evaluation of the Buddhist monastery law. So this topic is that starting from the origin and what is the purpose, and also, and I will explain about the structure of the Vinaya Pitaka. So this is the original Pali Canon. So we call the Roman Tide and Roman addiction. Totally, there's a 5 book. You can see the Bolu 1 to 5. This is the original Pali that we call the Roman Tide Pali. The Pali Society, they publish about this, the 5 book and the 5 Boluk, and Mr. Raidebit and the Orenbet. Actually, this is the additional version. They have the original version. The original version is started 1879 to 1883. So that you see 1997 and 1982. These 5 volumes are added by the Mr. Odenbert. So they have two times the edition about this, the Roman Tide Pali. The same way now today we have a separate version of the Tipitaka, the Roman Tide, and the different kind of the language. We have the Tipitaka and we have the Vinaya rules. So today I will focus to explain based on this test. And also we have the translation test. The translation, the English translation especially. You can see that the Vinaya test, Mr. Raidebit and the Odenbert, they also translation from Pali to the English. This is the first major English, the rendering, and also the covering the Patimokkha and Khandaka. The second one is the book of the discipline. The order is the I.B. Honor. I.B. Honor. He is also explaining about the volume number 6 and entity, polity society. So the last book is thus the Thanesaro Bhikkhu. So he also translation about that the Buddhist monastic code. So now today we can see and study it's very easy subtitle the interpretation, subtitle the translation from original Pali into the different languages. Sometimes it's a different version. Sometimes they are not the same to translation. So last 6 months ago, in most venerable Ajahn Kamadamasami, he also one of the and the chairman to translation about the Raya Pali project. I'm also one of the like a participant in this translation process. We got a lot of knowledge in this project, Pali into English. There's a lot of scholar. So yesterday also Mr. Alex, he also one of the member in this the translation process. So you can see so many kind of the translation version in our Tipitaka in every country and everywhere. And also I will focus to explain about this based on the translation board. So this is the origin. Basically, we understand the Vinaya Pitakas. That is we call Patama Abhisambodhi Samaya. It means that generally we understand that the Buddha didn't establish the Vinaya in the first 20 years. That we call Patama Abhisambodhi Samaya. So the first 20 years, the Buddha didn't talk about the Vinaya rules. That is the general knowledge. Why the Buddha he didn't mention about the Vinaya rules the first 20 years. And also that is an interesting point. But when we study about the original Pali, the Buddha he mentioned the minor case. It's not the major case. Of course, we can say the first 20 years, the Buddhas didn't establish the Vinaya rules, but it's me, the major rule, it's not minor rule. Actually, the Buddha, he established and he delivered about the Vinaya rules after 1 year later, if he become a Buddha. So if he become a Buddha, the Buddha, he started to promulgate about the Vinaya rules. For example, Tisarana Gamanupa Sikkhabara. This is the first rules of the Vinaya rule. But the commentary or the sub-commentary, they mentioned that Patama Abhisambodhi Samaya, the Buddha, he didn't establish of the Vinaya rules during the first 20 years. Actually, this is for the major rule. A minor rule, the Buddha, he's already explained, he already established of the Vinaya rules. In another case is that why the Buddha, he didn't establish the Vinaya rules, because the early community, the people who want to be the Buddhist monks in that time, they just only one intention, that's to understand the Buddha teachings. They don't have any intention. They just want to overcome the suffering. They just want to know who is the Buddha, what is the Buddha teaching. They don't have any other idea. They don't have any other intention. They can focus to practice meditation. They can focus to follow what the Buddha taught. But nowadays, we are so different. In contemporary society and everywhere, it's not only the Theravada Buddhism in our tradition, but also the other tradition, we can see that we have a lot of intention that's to become a monk. So this is one of the guts from early Buddhism and now the modern Buddhism. You can ask yourself, what is your intention to be the monk? So this is the important one, that's to reviving of our life and also regaining the faith again. Why I become a monk, for example, something like that. You know, in my experience, when I finished my high school, and after that, my mother, she asked me, my son, what is your future life? What would you like to be in your future? So I just say that I would like to be like a peace and a quiet place. I live in the alone. I don't want to do like so many people, something like this. So she told me that you should be monk. You should be Buddhist monk. You should go to the monastery. So if I finish my high school, I'm going to the monastery and I ask the venerable to become a monk. The time is Samanera. But my intention is only that's to be the peace and quiet place and living alone or study. No more than. No more than. I don't understand the suffering. I don't understand the samsara. But I'm just knowing the, you know, the peace and I'm lovely to live alone. That's all. That's all. But when I become a Samanera, I have to study, I have to learn it, the Buddhist test, and after that, I change my mind. That's the intention is to changely to see what is the real Buddhist teachings. If I study the Buddhist teaching, I saw the real Buddha. So now today, we have a lot of generation, the Samanera or the monk. Anyway, they have a different kind of the intention to become a monk. After study the Buddhist teaching, after learning the Buddhist teaching, we have to change our intention. What is the real Buddhist teaching and who is the real Buddha? Because our intention is thus to see the ultimate reality. It's not the sensual pleasure. This is not our goal. So that's reason why I became a monk until now. Now I am in 20 year visa. And I have already studied about the Pali in Myanmar and Mandalay, Mukom, Pariyati Monastery. So in audience, there's a lot of monks and Samanera. We have to revive our intention. This is a little bit gaps between the Asian and modern today. And another one that the Vinaya rules, the Buddhas introduced only specific problem. The Buddha, he didn't promulgate and deliberate before any issue. If there's any problem, an issue, the Buddha taught to the Vinaya code to follow the bhikkhu and to follow the bhikkhuni or something like this. So that's why the first 20 years we call the Patama Abhisambodhi. We cannot see the major rules, but we can see the minor rules in the Khuddaka Nikaya. We call the Khuddaka. We can see the small, the Vinaya rules. And before the Vinaya rules, the Buddha, he deliberate about the Ovada Patimokkha. Why the Buddha, he promulgated about the Ovada Patimokkha? Because when we study about the Suttanta Pitaka and Vinaya Pitaka, it's a difference. Sutanta Pitaka, it does we call, you know, it's a different kind of the method. For example, like Ekan Samaya, this is to follow, to understand the Buddha teaching. But the Vinaya is that Ana Desana. Ana Desana means we must do follow. We don't have a chance. We don't have a chance to choose. If you become a monk or samanera, we have to follow. We cannot choose any kinds of the rule. We must to follow all the rules. So that's me, Owada. And we call the Pali Owada. And we can say Patimokkha or like a motion. So that's why the Buddha, he started to talk about the Owada Patimokkha. That is very familiar with all the people, all the monks and bhikkhuni as well. The first one, restraining. It means that, the refraining from all the unwholesome action. And number two, the cultivation of the good deed, the wholesome deed. And the last one is to define the mind. So these three kind of the function we call Owada Patimokkha. So you can see that before the promulgated of the Vinaya rules, the Buddha, he taught to the Owada Patimokkha, because Owada means you must to follow. We don't have a chance to choose. It's very serious. I don't want to follow. No, it's not like that. It's not like that. So the Vinaya rule is for especially the monastic community. So the monastic community, bhikkhu and bhikkhuni, we cannot choose. We have to follow. This is we call Owada. In Pali, Ana Desana. And this is another evidence why the Buddha, he talked about the Owada Patimokka before the Vinaya rule. I can search about the three kinds of the sutta and Dhammappada. The first one, it does the boss number 183, Sappapapasa Akarana. So it's me not to do any evil. So we can see the Khuddaka Nikaya and Dhammappada, bus number 183. This is the first batch. In the second batch is that Kanti Paraman Tapo Titeka. Sometimes the Vinaya rule is very strictly. So sometimes we lose the patience. For example, when you go to traveling somewhere, or when you go to travel from Asia to Europe, the time is the difference. We have to take a time 12 hours to flight. Sometimes we don't have any food because we don't know the time. So the time we have to patient. We have to patient. When we arrived there, the last month when I go into the Italy and Switzerland, we have a different culture. The Switzerland and the Italy, they are the Christian community. They are welcoming to us so many food, and especially they have the dinner, the special dinner. But we try to close friend each other. We try to understand the culture. But we have to explain, my dear friends, we have a Vinaya rule. We cannot eat, we cannot join in your dinner or something like that. We have to talk. Actually, we are hungry, but we have to patient. So in your life, when we observe or when we practice the Vinaya rule, we have to be patient. Without the patience, we can't do the Buddha's teaching to distribution. So this is the second verse, 184. Kanti Paraman Tapo Titeka. It's mean the patience and endurance the highest artistry. This is the dignity of the monk, the Buddhist monk in the Buddhist community. And the last one that anupavado and anupagato. So it means that not rebellion and not enduring. So you can see the three bars that is evident why the Buddha taught about the Ovara Patimokkha before the Vinaya rules. So Vinaya rule is no choice, no chance. We have to follow, we have to practice because of Ovara Patimokkha. And then the time, the 20 years, actually the 12-year wizard, the Buddha 12-year wizard, he came to, the Rajagaha and also the Virinjara, especially the Virinjara city. Whenever Sariputra, he requests the twice time. The first time is that Rajagaha, second time is the Virinjara. Whenever Sariputra, he requests to promulgate the Vinaya rules to the Buddha. The second time is the Buddha's 12-year visa. So when the time the Venerable Sariputra requests to the Buddha, Lord Buddha, please establish about the Vinaya rules. So that time, the Buddha, he replied to the Venerable Sariputra, Akame hiton Sariputta tathagato wa tatha kala janesati. Tatha kala janesati is me. The Buddha, he knows the good time to establish the Vinaya rules. This is the quality of the Buddha. The Buddha, he know him what is the time to promulgate the Vinaya rules and what is the right time. Sometimes we need the right time. So the Buddha, he knowing the right time to promulgate the Vinaya rules. So we can see the Vinaya in the Polity Society, page number 9, and also the Time Version, page number 16. And also, the Buddha, he said in the Kakasubama Sutta. In this sutta, we can see this sutta is a Majjhima Nikaya. The Majjhima Nikaya in the middle discourses. In this sutta, the Buddha said, Bhikkhu ekam samayan chaitan adadaniya. Adadaniya is me, all the bhikkhu, when they delighted to the Buddha mind. It means that all the Buddhist monk, they really enjoy it, they really believe to what the Buddha taught. At the time, the Buddha will be establish the Vinaya rules. So this is one of the evidence why the Buddha, he known the right time to establish the Vinaya rules. So in Kakasubama Sutta and Majjhima Nikaya, we can study more than that. But in here, you can see the bhikkhus delighted the Buddha mind. The time the Buddha is very easy to establish the Vinaya rule. Without any issue, without any occasion, the Buddha, he didn't establish any Vinaya rule unexpected. So that's why this sutta is explaining about that. Why the Buddha, he established the Vinaya rule? Because there is no any special occasion, special issue. So you can see in this sutta, and also whenever Sariputra, the first time to request to the Buddha to establish the Vinaya rule in the Rajagaha, the Buddha denied it as well. So whenever Sariputra, he requests to the Buddha the twice time, but the Buddha, he denied it. almost 2 times. And then this is the time to establish the Vinaya rules. We call Asawataniya Dhamma in Pali, Asawa. In Pali, we call Asawataniya Dhamma. In English, impure tendency. Impure tendency. When the Sariputra requests to the Buddha, he said that the monks who they have the impure tendency, I will promulgated the Vinaya rules. What is the impure tendency? What is the asawataniya dhamma? Asawataniya dhamma is that abnormal behavior, improper intention, and it's not training well, not respected the Buddha teaching. So these are all asawataniya dhamma. We can see the Vinaya Pitaka in Palita Society, page number 10. Na tawaha sariputta bhikkhuna sekha brana pinyapisami na patimokha uddesisami yawa me sariputta sanghe asawataniya dhamma. This is the main point. Why the Buddha established the Vinaya rule? Because of this point. Because of this point. The early community of the Sangha, they don't have too much the intention. For example, to get money, to get monastery, to get the car, to get the faith, to get the glory, they don't have any intention concerning about the sensual pleasure. They just only want the intention that's to understand the Buddha teachings. So it's mean that asawa. We have 4 kinds of the asawa. Kamasawa, Bhavasawa, Daittasawa, Vesasawa. We have a totally the 4. And this is the one of the reason why the Buddha, he established the Vinaya rules. And also another one, that's the evidence. We can study the Parajika Pali. Yopana Bhikkhu. Yopana means after doing any occasion. After that, the Buddha, he established. So without any issue, without any condition, the Buddha, he didn't establish any Vinaya rules. So the monks who they committed the occasion, after that, the Buddha trying to establish. It's me, Yopana. Yopana means after committed any issue. So when you study the Vinaya rules, you can see very clearly that the Buddha, he didn't taught before. He explained, and after that, he established the Vinaya rules. So we can see that Metunandama Patiseveya Parajiko Hoti Asanwaso. So every rules, monastic, the code, the Buddha used that Yopana is me after committed, after occasion. This is the second point. Why the Buddha the promulgated and established of the Vinaya rules. And we have the specific occasion. We can see the Suttanta Pitaka. The first one, Kosambiya Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya. In this sutta, it does like a Suttanta monks and Vinaya monks, they argument each other in this sutta. Kosambiya Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya. You can see this is very favorite in the Majjhima Nikaya. And the number 2, Mahatana Sinkhaya Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, and you can see that this sutta. In this sutta also, Venerable Sati, he have the wrong view about the consciousness. It means the consciousness is never like a stop. He have The idea is that like a sasatta deity. But the Buddha's the teaching is not like that. The Buddha teaching is anatta. But whenever sati, he understands that our mind is like atta. So that time he make a conflict to top the other venerables. The time the Buddha hear about the issue, after that, the Buddha taught about the Vinaya rules. And the last one, Alakatubama Sutta. This is the more important sutta for the new generation. And because in modern today, we study a lot the academic at the position. For example, BA, MA, PhD, Prenyati, Prenyato, Prenyaye. When you study about the BA, MA, PhD, your intention and that should be distribution about the Buddha teaching. It's not for the proud. It's not for like attack. It's not for defeat to others. So concerning about this sutta, Alakatupama Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, the Buddha, he taught to Arita. Arita, when you study about the Buddha teaching, you have to be the good intention to understand the Buddha teaching and to help the other peoples. It's not to showing your atta, you're like a selfish, and not to showing about you are proud. So we can see the clearly about this sutta, the Arita. And the last one, Sula Maluchaputta. Sula Maluchaputta Sutta. In this sutta also, Venerable Maluchaputta, he makes understand the Buddha teaching. Because when he become a Buddhist monk, and after that, he enjoying for food, and he enjoying the sleeping, he enjoying the using like the material. So he always thinking about the sensual material. So he forgot to practice meditation. He forgot to follow the Vinaya rules. The time the Buddha taught to Venerable Maluchaputta. Maluchaputta, when you become a monk, you have to follow the Vinaya rules. Now you are enjoying the material, like eating food, sleeping, like the resin, and the others material. So that's why the Buddha taught to the Sulamaluchaputta. After that, the Buddha, he established about the Vinaya rule. So you can see the special occasion for the discipline. It's not only we can find the Vinaya rule, but also we can find the Suttanta Pitaka. Suttanta Pitaka, you can see them. And one more sutta. This is the very favorite sutta we call Bhattali Sutta. The Venerable Bhattali, he asks to the Buddha, why there's a lot of rules. You can see why there's a few training rules, but so many monks and bhikkhu, they can establish awakening. And now there's a lot of rules, but a few monks, they can be reached. It means that the early period of the sasana, there's a few monastic law, there's a few Vinaya rules, but all the monk, they can be awakened. They can be Sotapanna, like the first Sridhara, and Anagami, Sotapanna, Sakadagana, Anagami, and Arhatama. There's a few Vinaya rules, but almost the monks, they can be awakened. But nowadays, there's a lot of rule, but the small number who are intended to Arhata. So Venerable Bhattali, he asks to the Buddha, what is wrong, Buddha? So the Buddha, he replied to the Venerable Bhattali, Venerable, nowadays the beings, they become to decline and the true Dhamma begins to fade. This is very important to catch the point. And nowadays, our generation and our community, especially the Buddhist community, we should learn especially from this sutta. Nowadays, we cannot find any arhanta. Normally, we can say like that. But there's a lot of rule. No arhanta, like there's a lot of rule. So what is the problem that? So the Buddha said that the being is me, including the devotee and the monks, the nuns as well. We began to decline the monastic law, and also we decline the true Dhamma being to faint. And also the beings, they are declining to the moral training room as well. So that's why this is the problem. This is a real problem. It's not established in awakening. So awakening is not the problem. The problem is that decline the rule in the faith and the training of the Vinaya room. So the monks, bhikkhu and bhikkhuni, they are not following the Vinaya rule. That is the main problem. It's not the awakening. So that's why the Buddha answered to the Venerable Patali. Patali, listen to me. The multiplication of the Vinaya rule is similar. It's like a symptom of the change in the community, not a cause of the pure awakening. There is no the arhanta. There is arhanta. It doesn't matter. We have to follow. We must to follow the Vinaya rule. This is the the multiplication of the rules. So when I study about this sutta, I can see our society, especially the Buddhist society, what we need and what we change, what we have to change our society, what we have to change our intention. We can learn from this sutta. What is the real intention? And also, the Buddha taught to the Venerable Sariputra. This is the right time to talk, the right time to establish the Vinaya rule. The time the Buddha said, we have the greatest of the Sangha. And the greatness is very the dangerous for the Buddhist Sangha community. You can see the first one, Ratinyu Mahatata. In Pali, in English, that the order endure over a great length of time. It's me in our Buddhist community, we have the senior monk. But the senior monks is that they didn't study, they didn't follow the Vinaya rule. When they have the new generation, they didn't guide them to the new generation. They cannot guide them to a new camera because they didn't study, they didn't understand about the Vinaya training rules. So that's kind of the man. It does become too much. We have to be observe the Vinaya rule. This kind of the situation is more increase. The Buddha have to be established the Vinaya rules. So that's why the first one is that's long standing. Long standing is me. Some senior monks they become more bhikkhu in the Buddha Sasana, but they didn't study, they didn't practice, they cannot share in any other the training rules or the Buddha teaching. And the second one is that Vibhumla Mahatata. It's me, the community is growing large in number. It's me that you can ask the question, Is increase the number. This is a problem. You can ask that kind of the question. No, it's not like that. The Vibhola Mahatata means increase the number, but this number is the calyx to practice the meditation, to follow the monastery rule. That is the problem. If increase the number, it doesn't matter. Even though the Buddha, he several places, he going around in India, several places, he taught the Buddha teaching. He find like a new follower, something like this. That is to increase the number. But in here, the Vibhola means that increase number, but without the quality. So the Buddha, he mentioned that the quality, it should be important than the quantity. So that's we have to understand that. You can see the abundance. Abundance mean you can see some of the history. For example, like Virijana, in Virijana they have a pandemic. It's like a COVID-19 pandemic. The people, they don't have the food enough to offer in the bhikkhu. But there's a lot of bhikkhu. How can we offer? The time how the monks, they can survive without the food. So that's why this is one of the issue to establish the Vinaya rule. For example, Vikala Bhojana. When you study about the rules, the story is that the bhikkhu, at the evening time, they go into around to the devotee house and they knock the door. They ask the food. We are hungry. Please offer the food. But the time is not the proper. At the time, the Buddha, he know about the occasion. He know about the issue. And after that, he established about the Vikala Bhojana for the monks. Because this is not the right time for the monks. So this is the second one is Vibhola Mahatata. In the third one and the fourth one, we should criticize to understand in modern community, it's modern Buddhist community. The third one is this Labaka. Labakas is more important one in modern Buddhist community. Can you justify your mind? Like if I give like a one car, like a BMW, I can get one more car. So we cannot stop. I mean, we cannot justify our mind. If you have one monastery, you can get one more monastery. We are not justifying. We are not in that to get, for example, like a mobile phone as well. I have a mobile phone, but one devotee, when they offer to me another mobile phone, I will resist. But I didn't say I have already mobile phone. I will resist another mobile phone. So that's me. We have to gain it and support them. This is one of the issue, the big issue to the criticize in modern Buddhist community. Because this is attachment to the great offerings. This issue is that we looking back to the devotee as well. Because the devotee, they have so many issues. They have the economy, they have education, they have a different kind of the faculty, there's different kind of the duty. So we have to see the balance to understand the side of the devotee. In the last one, the learning. If I say the learning, you can ask, oh, the learning is the problem for the Vinaya rule? No, it's not like this. Learning is not the problem. But if you learning, the learning is not the problem, but learning is the one of the issue to establish the Vinaya. Why? Because the knowledge the knowledge. You can see Bahosicca. Actually, in our intention to be the Buddhist mind, it does to see the real Buddha teaching and to overcome the sufferings. But when you get the knowledge, it's too much. For example, too much knowledge may fool. You know about this story. If you have a lot of knowledge, you will be fool. So too much knowledge made fool. It is bahosicca. You think a lot. You have overthinking. You have a hyper to think about here, there. You lose the concentration. You cannot focus to practice meditation. You cannot follow in the Vinaya rules. This is the kind of the learning. If you want to learn in the knowledge, that is never stopped and limited to study about the knowledge. But our intention is not study unlimited knowledge. Our intention is that to stop unlimited life. We try to limit it. We try to practice meditation. We try to follow in the Vinaya rule because our intention is limited life to stop the samsara. It's not for learning. It's unlimited knowledge. So you can see the condition that the call for the discipline because the four kinds of the greatestness Ratinyu Maharata in Vibonla Maharata and Labaka in the last one Bahosicca. This is the main point why the Buddha established the Vinaya rules. The Sangha community, when they have the four kinds of the greatness, the Buddha, he will be deliberate. He will be the promulgate about the Vinaya rules. In one more things, in the Vinaya Pitakas in the volume number 3, we can see the 10 reason for the Vinaya. Why the Buddha, he promulgated about the Vinaya rules, because there's a 10 kinds of the benefits. You can see the first one, Sangha Totutaya. It means like the excellence for the Sangha. It means that when you see the Sangha community, the devotee, the people, their peace and their mind is the calm and also the peace of the mind and happiness. So that's kind of the reason the Buddha talked about the first, the rule. The second one is that Sangha Pasutaya. This is the comfort, the easy of the Sangha. For example, for Buddhist monk, we can easily to survive in our life. Any kinds of the food. Whenever the devotee, whenever they are offered to the monks, we receive all the food, and we don't have it chance to choice. So this is the second, the function, and the last one is thus to retrain a behavior person. It means that Dhammam Kuna Nikahiya. So this is the Pali word. And number 4, for the easy of where beheld bhikkhu. It's like a Pasitena Pasu Viharaya. So this is the number 4, for easy to well beheld the people. So that's why the Buddha, he established about the Vinaya rules. And number 5, Data Dhammika Asawa Samvaraya. It means that to guard against the training he has a now. It means to get the the present moment, something like that. And number 6 is toward of the train and the future life. This is the Sambararika Asawa Patikataya. And number 7, Appa Senyana Pasadaya. That is mean to inspire confidence in the unconfident. And number 8, pasanana benyo bawaya. It means to depend the confidence of the believer. And also satama titiya for the lasting of the truth demand is the number 9. And the last one for the support of the Vinaya. So you can see in the study the Vinaya, the volume number 3 and page number 21 about the content, the reason for the Vinaya. This is the why the Buddha established the Vinaya rules, because the term reason for the Vinaya, and also the amendment of the the clarification about the Vinaya. When you study about the Vinaya, the Buddha, he didn't talk only one time. Sometimes he changed the rule. It's like a mula pinya, anupinya in Pali. We say like that. In here that how the rule is growing. Why the Vinaya rule is so many. Why the Vinaya rule is increased slowly. Because in single rule given for one accident, but often, sometimes, the refrain when the monks found a lawful. Lawful is me. The Buddha, when we study about the first parajika, when the Buddha to top the Buddhism, you have to abstain from like this rule, but the monks he find out the different way. Is we call the lawful. So that's why sometimes the Buddha have to change, and the Buddha have to deliberate again about the rules. It's like anupanya we call. So you can see the last one, amendment, is mean the rule is the gratifying or extent. So that's why the rule is the increase the number. For example, the two indefinity is like a dui aniyata. Dui aniyata is mean that we cannot consider. That is depend on the occasion and depend on the situation. We can be consider, we can be gratified. What is the cause of the problem? So this is the amendment or the clarification. So you can see this is the development of the rules that I said before. Why is the increase the Vinaya rule? Because you can see the first parajika. The Buddha, he taught about the Yopana Bhikkhu, Mithunandana, Patiseveya. But later that the Buddha have to revise again. Now in this seminar also, we have to revive in Vinaya. So the same way the Buddha, he used that again about to top the Vinaya rules. The second time, Antamaso, Tidichana, Karayapi, as lives like animal. And here, even with an animal. So the first time the Buddha talked to the Mithun and Dhamma, but the second time, even with an animal. And the third time, without disbowing the training. So it's the 3 times to establish the first parajika. So that's the reason why the Vinaya rule is very strictly to increase the number. Sometimes you can see the Bachitiya Pali is very clear to see about the issue. And also the second parajika as well, it's the same issue that you can see Yopana Bhikkhu Adena Adiya. This is the original, the top to the Buddhas in terms to the monks. But second time, the Buddha reviving again, Kamawa, Aranyawa is Adena Adiya. It's mean not only from city, whatever you wear, like a village or forest, when you take any property from village, from the forest, you have to be like a destroyed or something like this. It's like a defeated to the major, the rules we call parajika. So this is the development of the rules. So all the Vidya rule it does the Buddha here reviving again and again. It's not only one time. That's we have the new occasion. Now we have the new, you know, the issue, the Buddha, the change or revising about the Vinaya rules again. So the Vinaya rule is that we have a totally, the four. We can see this is the structure of the Vinaya rule that you know already. The first one that Vinaya Pitaka, we have a three kind of the volume that we can see Sutta, Vibhanga, and Khandaka and Parivara. So Sutta Vibhanga is that we can study about the Bhikkhu and Bhikkhuni, and Khandaka we have a two Mahavaka and Julavaka, and the last one the Parivara. Parivara means that's to summarize about the Buddha teaching and analysis about what the Buddha taught is before Sutta Vibhanga and Khandaka. So this is very clearly the structure of the Vinaya rules. And this is the Sutta Vibhanga for the Buddhist monk. The Buddhist monk have to be follow about the rules, totally 227 rules. This is the basic knowledge. We know already, but we have to be reviving again. We have the 227 rule. This is a reminder to us to always to follow in the Vinaya rules. So we can see the different kind of the issue, the different kind of the number. And for the Bhikkhu, we have a 227. Maybe some devotee, they will know the new knowledge, this one. But for Venerable, they already know about this one. The Bhikkhuni is, for Bhikkhuni, we have a 311, the rules. And when we study about the Mahavaka, we can understand about the monastic activity. It's like how to become a monk, and like a admission and ordination, how to make the ordination, and also how to do the uposatha, and also how to recite in the Patimokkha. We can study easily in the Mahavaka and reciting during the Vassa. So it is very interesting to can over the new generation, and also the devotee, they should know him. They should know about this Mahavaka also. If you know about this knowledge, you can approach to the Buddhist monk. You can understand easily, communicate with the monk. So, and you see Pavarana ceremony as well. If you want to study, if you want to understand how to do the Pavarana ceremony, you can study in this Mahavaka. And also the rule for the dress, like now we are wearing the dress, the robe. So how to wearing the robe, you can study about the Mahavaka, and also the number 6 and the medicine and food, how to eat and how to take the medicine, we can study in the Mahavaka. So the Vinaya Pitaka is very perfect to follow in and also to practice. The Buddha, is very intelligent. It means that he look at the Buddhist community to complete and to sustainable developments to the community, about the Buddhist community. So you can see a different kind of the issue that's to support the Buddhist community, the stably. And also you can see the annual distribution of the road. This is for the Katina ceremony. So mostly the devotee, they misunderstand. The Katina is belong to, devotee. Actually, it's not like the Katina ceremony is belong to the monk. The monks have to be the Kama Vacha in the ordination hall. This is the main point. It's not belong to the devotee. Devotee is only celebration about the Katinat. But the main issue, it does belong to Buddhist monk. Without the Buddhist monk, without the Kama Vacha in the ordination hall, we cannot finish about the Katina ceremony. So that's why the devotee, they should understand about that Mahavaka. If you understand, you can more communicate easily with the Bhikkhu community. community. And also the care of the sick and sleeping and road material. And this is the basis foundation how to care about the gilana, is mean the sick. And also accusing from an act of the order is mean that if you committed some of the rule, how should we do that? Something like that. So, and the last one, the proceeding in case of the like a sixing. Sixing it does sometimes we have a viwada, is mean to fight each other at the time. How should we do? How we have to be solve the problem, something like this. So this is we can study in the Mahavaka. It is not only for the bhikkhu community but also for the lay devotee as well. And Chulavaka, Chulavaka also totally the 12. You can see the dealing with orphans before the order, and probation procedure for the bhikkhu. This is very systematically to follow for bhikkhu and a bhikkhuni. It's very systematically. Uh, when I make the lecture in my class about this subject, I always talking about that one. It's me. It's the Buddha. He is very systematically to promulgated and established for the Vinaya rules for Buddhist community. Every time when I read like the Vinaya, Chulavaka or Mahavaka, I always imagine about the Buddha's image and the Buddhist statue because I really enjoy to the Buddha.
ผู้
from the sensual pleasure. When you go to the shopping mall, when you see the branded, you want to buy. I want to buy this one. So your mind does attachment to the sensual pleasure. But when you go to the temple or monastery, your mind the peace and calm. Sometimes you want to be donate, you want to be offering something. After that, you can enjoy your mind. But when you go to the shopping mall, you need the money, you want to get, you want to gain, something like that. This is the data sawa is me. You can go to shopping mall, you will get some sensual pleasure. Avijja sawa is me. You never trying to understand the Buddha teaching. It's like I just was born a human being. I can be happy. You never expected the future life. You are not really believe to the Buddha teaching. You can eat, you can drink, you can survive without any rules, without any the community is made like to take care for others or something like this. So this is the data sawa. This is avijja sawa. Bhava sawa is me. You understand sometime. This is the final life. You don't have any the future life. You think that like this. So I can be live whatever I want. I don't care about the rules. I don't believe the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. I cannot follow what the Buddha taught. I cannot forget on what the senior monks, something like that. You care less to the meaningful things and meaningful people. So that is also the the Bhawasawa as well. So these are four kinds of the impure tendency is very dangerous to our life, and you should to understand, and we can be stopped by practice meditation, and also to understand for Buddhism to following the monastic laws and practice meditation. After that, we can understand the full noble and the noble eightfold path. So this is the what I explain about the full asawa. So I hope to get the point. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So maybe I can ask the question, Venerable. When there's a law for the monk laid out by the Buddha, when it's come across the law of the land by the government, for example, sometimes they're in conflict, doesn't go the same way. So how can we compromise? And do you have any recommendation when the law of the monks and the law of the land is not in the same line?
Thank you, Venerable, for your question. I think your question is that the layer by layer, right? Okay.
The law of the land, like the government, the
Lot of the layer.
law of the land, the country. Some country they're not, maybe they're not Buddhist, or even the Buddhist country. Sometimes they don't understand the monk, so they have some law that they maybe they make some regulation that is maybe not in line with the Patimokkha, for example, maybe things like that. The law that doesn't
The law of the
law of the land, the place where we stay. Because sometimes we live in the place where it's maybe non-Buddhist. For example, we go we preaching another country. The law in that country is doesn't.
You mean some of the monks they complain about the law or the monastic?
no, the law of the country that they stay. For example, they go for the other country where it's non-Buddhist, and then they have certain regulations.
Yeah, I actually thank you. I got the point. Thank you so much. Actually, the Vinaya rule that we understand for Buddhist country, but non-Buddhist country, they easy to accept when we try to explain. So last month when we go to the Italy, we lived in the Christian community. All the whole trip, they take care for us. It's not only me and my friends. Benubo, Ajahn Widasep is a Thai month. So we both together going to the Italy 12 days for the meditation retreat. So sometimes they ask the rules. The rule is that why you didn't take the dinner, for example. So we try to understand, and also we try to explain. Of course, the eating dinner is not really it's a conflict. It's mean we can eat, for example, but if you want to eat, you have to the reason for yawa kalika, tawa kalika. Something in Pali we have already mentioned about that. But if you eat the dinner, you have a reason why you eat. So that time that they invite us, but we explain. We are we are very strong, healthy. So we don't need to eat about the dinner. I'm really enjoying. I really thank you for your invite, but I'm so sorry this time. But I can drink maybe the soft drink you can offer to me, something like that. Actually, in my experience, they didn't they didn't look down the rule. They didn't complain the rule. They really respect. They really respect. They really interesting when we explain about the Vinaya rule. They also enjoying. Oh, that's kind of the rules we have a similar in the Christian like that. We have a similar in Orthodox. We have a similar rules in the Protestant. They also mention their tradition as well. So in my experience, we don't have any conflict. When they ask the Vinaya do, we try to explain what is the reason. That's why we didn't do something like that. Yes.
Okay, so thank you very much. Okay.
Excuse me, may I get the permission from Mahasangha? As you have the expertise in the Vinaya and the history of the Vinaya literature, so I would like to ask that as Theravadians, we believe that these are all that you have elaborated the 5 stages of the books of the Vinaya literature. So as Theravadins, we believe that they were revived, or they were made during the 3 major councils. But some Western scholars, they have a different idea that they argue, or sometimes T.W. Rhys Davids created the chronological chart for mainly for the canonical texts, including Vinaya and Abhidhamma. So he has made some stages where these are the first ones, and these books are made later. But as Theravadins, we believe, and we firmly believe that these books were made, or that is what do you mean that these was everything is revived by the Arahant in the 3 major councils. And when it comes to the Vinaya text, some more arguments are there for the last book, the Parivara Pali, that it was compiled very later. But as the Theravadins, we don't believe, we don't have that kind of an idea that it was made very later. And including those 4 texts, they were compiled and they were created during the major 3 councils. So you have the exposure to that Western ideas or the Western scholars' ideas. So as Theravadins, how we can convince, how we can defend such arguments, or what would you have to tell about those kinds of Western scholars' arguments about these chronological charts or whatever the arguments about the history of these Vinaya literature?
Thank you, Venerable, for your question. I think it's not a question. I understand that your point of view is to ask about the Pali literature. I think this issue is yesterday. The Dr. Alex, he already thought about this one. I think so. Because nowadays we have a lot of the separate texts from translation and also the Pali scholar. Even though Sota Central website, when you go into study that, a lot of version of the Vinaya text, the monastic law from the Bhikkhu Analio. Yesterday, Dr. Alex also, he mentioned that about Bhikkhu Analios. And I also, in my slide, the first slide, I mentioned about the Tinasaro. Yeah, this one, Tanesro Bhikkhu. So when we study about the Pali literature, I think we cannot make a solution because there's a lot of Pali translator and the Vinaya scholar. So that's why we cannot. This one is a right, this one is a wrong. We cannot say like that, but we have a different idea. For example, from Sri Lanka and Thailand and Kodaka, Nikaya, they have a 15 book. But in Myanmar, we have 18 book. 18 and Sutanta and Kodaka Nikaya, including Pitako Padisa, and Milena Pinya, and Visuddhimagga. So we have 3 more texts. But in Sri Lanka and Thailand, they just only 15 book without the 3 book. So it means that which one is the right, which one is the wrong. It's not like that. It's me. We can more study that. That's reason why we can know about that. And also the other tradition in the other Buddhist country as well, they can study without, they cannot put it in the Tipitaka, but they are also study about Milena Pinya and Pitako Padita as well. So in my perspective, this Pali literature is that, of course, we should go in the original Pali as much as we can. But if we see the context in the different book or different author or literature, we can be compare and we can be get the new knowledge from different perspective. I think so. Okay.
Bante, how I can understand the question asked about lands. So, according to Vinaya, we can see land can be included as Garubhanda. So, Garubhanda so cannot be sold or given to others. You can, there is one stanza in Parivara Pali, Avisajjang Avebhangyang Panchavutta Mahesina Visajjantasya Paribhunjantasya Anapatti Panjayamesa Kusale Chintita. So, Parivara commentary explained that we cannot give, relinquish lands to others, according to Vinaya. And also, we cannot, so Visanjetasya Paribhunjantasya. So, also we cannot give them as personal belongings when it is offered to Sangha. In Tenasana Khandaka commentary mentioned, it can be transferred. So, when there are many examples in the commentary. So, there are two lands. One is belong to Sangha, another one belong to lay devotees. It can be exchanged, but we cannot sell. So this is how it's mentioned. So nowadays, so we can use also same method to exchange the lands. Another one we can see in Mahavagga commentary regarding Sima. When Sima is offered to the Sangha, that land belongs to Sangha till end of this sasana. That is a special occasion, but for another occasions we cannot see such kind of statement in Vinaya text or commentary. So how I can understand about lands? So from the beginning of the sasana, it was offered to Sangha from Rajagaha, Rajagaha Setti, and also Veluvanarama. Katambhante Patipajjami, it mentioned that Chatuddisasya Sanghasya Patitthapema. It's how mentioned. It's offered to Sangha, came from 4 directions. Same tradition went to Sri Lanka also. We can see in our stone scripts, Chatuddisa Shagasha Dema. That's how we can see. So when the sasana starts, so lands and the monasteries offered to Sangha coming from 4 directions. But when it's come to the land in the Sima, it's very special. In summary, we can exchange lands with lay devotees as kind of Vinaya procedure. This is how I understand the rules and regulations according to Vinaya. But when it's come to rules and regulations in the countries, I think we have to follow the king, because Buddha mentioned in Mahavagga Pali, in Vasupanayika Khandaka, Anujanami Bhikkave Rajanang Anuvattitu. Monks are allowed to follow the rules and regulations laid down by the king. But there is a special exception situation for Sima. So I'm not able to say about belonging or changing land of the Sima, but for other occasions, so we can follow rules and regulations according to country if it's righteous. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you very much for your helping with the questions. I think it's come to time, so thank you for Kante. And next is you're offering some kinaya, the dana. So this must be the group that offering dana, the Tipitaka Foundation for มูลนิธิพระไตรปิฎกเพื่อประชาชน so will be offering the gift to the venerable ตอนนี้ก็เป็นเวลาที่มูลนิธิพระไตรปิฎกเพื่อประชาชนก็ขอรับเป็นเจ้าภาพในการถวายของที่ระลึกเป็นหนังสือให้กับพระวิทยากรที่มาร่วมให้วิทยาทานพวกเรา Okay, so it's time for 15-minute break. We'll have another session coming up. Is on the subject of AI and interpretation of the Dhamma Vinaya in Theravada Buddhism. So it will be
Pali, we have already mentioned about that. But if you eat the dinner, you have a reason why you eat. So that time they invite us, but we explain. We are we are very strong, healthy. So we don't need to eat about the dinner. I'm really enjoying. I really thank you for your invite, but I'm so sorry this time. But I can drink maybe the soft drink you can offer to me, something like that. Actually, in my experience, they didn't they didn't look down the rule. They didn't complain the rule. They really respect. They really respect. They really interesting when we explain about the Vinaya rule. They also enjoy. Oh, that's kind of the rules we have a similar in the Christian like that. We have a similar in Orthodox. We have a similar rules in the Protestant. They also mention their tradition as well. So in my experience, we don't have any conflict. When they ask the Vinaya do, we try to explain what is the reason. That's why we didn't do something like that. Yes.
okay. So thank you very much. Okay.
Excuse me, may I get the permission from Mahasangha? As you have the expertise in the Vinaya and the history of the Vinaya literature, so I would like to ask that as Theravadians, we believe that these are all that you have elaborated the 5 stages of the books of the Vinaya literature. So as Theravadins, we believe that they were like the revived, or they were like the made during the 3 major councils. But some Western scholars, they have a different idea that they argue, or sometimes T.W. Rhys Davids created the chronological chart for the mainly for the canonical texts, including Vinaya and Abhidhamma. So he has made like some stages where these are the first ones, and these books are made later. But as Theravadins, we believe, and we firmly believe that these books were made, or that is what do you mean that everything is reviewed by the Arahant in the 3 major councils. And when it comes to the Vinaya text, some more arguments are there for the last book, the Parivara Pali, that it was compiled very later. But as the Theravadins, we don't believe, we don't have that kind of an idea that it was made very later. And including those 4 texts, they were compiled and they were created during the major 3 councils. So you have the exposure to that Western ideas, or the Western scholars' ideas. So as Theravadins, how we can convince, how we can defend such arguments, or what would you have to tell about those kinds of Western scholars' arguments about these chronological charts, or whatever the arguments about the history of these Vinaya literature?
Thank you, Venerable, for your question. I think it's not a question. I understand that your point of view is to ask about the Bali literature. I think this issue is yesterday. The daughter Alex, he already thought about this one. I think so, because nowadays we have a lot of the separate texts from translation and also the Pali scholar. Even though Sota Central website, when you going to study that, a lot of version of the Vinaya text, the monastic law from the Bhikkhu Analio. Yesterday, Dr. Alex also he mentioned that about Bhikkhu Analios. And I also, in my slide, the first slide, I mentioned about the Tinasaro. Yeah, this one, Tanesro Bhikkhu. So when we study about the Pali literature, I think we cannot make a solution because there's a lot of Pali translator and the Vinaya scholar. So that's why we cannot. This one is a right, this one is a wrong. We cannot say like that, but we have a different idea. For example, from Sri Lanka and Thailand and Kodaka, Nikaya, they have a 15 book. But in Myanmar, we have 18 book. 18 in Sutanta and Kodaka Nikaya.